there was something interesting as well that I discovered about Depeche Mode on that tour, because I think in the very early days we'd seen them as a band, as a group, as a homogenized group of people who functioned as a band unit. It became fairly evident that by the end of the 80s that they had formed themselves into something that was a lot more than just a band. There seemed to be quite definitive job demarcations. And I don't think I'm wrong, but I think effectively there was 4 separate individuals fulfilling 4 completely separate roles by that stage. There was, there was Martin, who wrote the songs. There was Alan, who was the musician, who could really play and sort of produce and hold it all together. There was Dave, just shut up and sing, Dave Garn. There was an element of that which was quite strange. It was like, just Dave, you're just the singer. Shut up and sing and go and prance around in front of the audience, okay? And then there was Andy, and it was like, what does Andy do? And then he realised that, well, he's kind of the manager, really. And when you could kind of sneak up behind him on stage and realise that he wasn't really playing anything on stage. And we used to joke about it. We used to say, you're not actually playing a keyboard, are you? You're the manager. You're playing the cash register. You've got an accounting machine there going, merchandising, $57,000. Everybody clap! Put your hands up for that one! Right, and I'll calculate the next bit now. Everybody applaud! He wasn't playing a fucking keyboard. He was working his cash machine.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Piano and Keyboard Artists, the channel where we discuss everything related to keyboarded musical instruments, synthesizers and artist development, with me, Vaughan George. Today's video is a follow-up video to a video I did a couple of weeks ago, which was called Fletch. What does Fletch do? I'll post a link to the description below so you can watch that video. And I thought I'd wait a couple of weeks before I made this follow-up video because I just wanted to gauge some of your responses and the feedback. On the subject of feedback and responses, I want to say that at the time of shooting that video 2 weeks ago, I was celebrating 70 subscribers, and I'm happy today that as from this moment we have 162 subscribers. So the subscribers have more than doubled in the last 2 weeks, and I want to thank you guys so much for that, because I know as a YouTuber, without an audience and without your input, I wouldn't exist. So I'm so grateful to you for subscribing and for commenting and for the overwhelmingly positive feedback I've been getting. So obviously I put stuff out, you guys respond, and how you respond does help me decide which subjects we want to discuss. So I'm going to just pull up the video that I did last week, a couple of weeks ago, and I've called this video Fletch the Killer Clap, and that first video was less of my opinion. I just really wanted to point out what Fletch does in the band, what his role is, and also some of the parts that he plays. And some of the comments were, wow, I didn't realize he did that little. And some comments were grateful that for me to point out what he does, because I know whenever you go look at live, when you go watch a band, usually you'll have the singer and the guitarist up in the front and the bassist, or depending on the band, and these are very animated. It's easy to be animated with the guitar, but very often when you're looking at a keyboardist or a synthesizer player, they're very static and standing still. There's not much you can do unless you've got one of those keytars, which is never a good idea. So it's quite, it is I wanted to just show you, and in further videos we'll probably do some more. Just sort of, I like to show you what the musicians are doing behind the scenes. So just coming to some of the comments here, and understand that this video is it's not really, I haven't really structured it. It's more like a free-flowing, as I say, a free-flowing a response to the last video. One of my subscribers, regular commenter, Richard C. Hello, mate. How you doing? He said, yeah, you forgot the most important thing, which was Fletcher's killer clap. And absolutely. Fletcher was well known for clapping and dancing in the 80s, and he seems to do less of that these days. He also goes on to say that he believes that the keyboard parts are not played live. They're kind of, I'm sort of, the gist of what he's saying is he believes that the keyboard parts are not played live and that they're all pre-recorded. So my response to that is, look, I've seen Depeche Mode live several times, and as a musician myself and a producer, I can tell that it is live. I can hear it's live. It sounds live. It's not perfectly metronomic and mechanical. But I think your comment there, Richard, I think you also commented on the 101 concert, which was flawless, and my response to that is, you could be right. I mean, I think in the case of, let's take the 101 concert, which was a momentous, it was a massive, it was the biggest concert they'd done up until that point, and they, so their manager, Jonathan Kessler, who's like the tour manager, he probably has the decision, well, I've got these 4 lads who are in their 20s and they're out partying and they're living their life. I'm going to now put them on a stage in front of 70,000 people. Do we run the risk of it not being perfect? So I can understand the comments where people say it was pre-recorded. It's very difficult to say, but I personally feel that it would have been live, or a lot of it would have been live. And you must understand that a lot of it's a very common practice for bands, especially these days, to go live and then take the recording to a studio, edit it, and make it sound better, and then release it for a commercial release. And which I suppose some people might say is dishonest, but you've got to understand that in these days, especially these days, it's like we don't have the ears for live music anymore. It's because you must remember that we hear so much music on the TV and on the radio and on your mobile. Music is everywhere, and remember that all music you hear is usually, you're hearing finished products, very processed, perfect kind of recordings. And so that is why when you go live and you hear someone singing live, to some people it might sound a bit off. And then my response is, well, welcome to live music. I think we've gotten to a point in production where things are so produced that I think we as human beings have kind of forgotten what live music actually sounds like. And that's a subject I think we can talk about in another video. But I mean, I've been to concerts, and I'm sure you have as well, where I've been to concerts and I've filmed a song from a concert. By the way, I hate it when people film whole, just watch it. It's there in front of you. Don't film it. But it's a, film. And I've been guilty of it as well. Just film a few, film a song or two, but don't film the whole concert. So I have filmed songs at concerts and then watched them, and then later on in the year, the band would release a commercial release of that recording that I went to see, and it's quite interesting how very often what you hear on the commercial release is not what you heard in the concert, because what they do is they take it back to a studio and they doctor it and they edit it. And why is it cheating? Yes, no, I don't know. I mean, as I said, it comes back to my comment earlier, is that we are so used to hearing perfected products that our ears won't really accept something that is live and flawed. And yeah, some of the other comments here are quite sort of scathing towards Fletch. Some, some are saying, well, Vaughan, I agree with you. Thank you for pointing out what he's doing. But others are saying to me, Vaughan, you're giving Fletch too much credit. He doesn't deserve the amount of credit he does. He doesn't deserve that much credit for what he does. He doesn't do much. He should have been the one that left the band. Alan shouldn't have left. And yes, some people there who don't like Fletch very much. But most people seem to be like, okay, he's not very musical, he's you know, he's a bit grumpy, but he's there and he's part of the band, and he's part of the chemistry and he's part of the makeup. So I personally feel if Fletch had to leave now, it would just be the Dave Gahan and Martin Gore show. People often talk about Dave being the voice, Gore being the songs, and Alan being the sound, and Fletch being the clapper. But yeah. Something that comes to my mind now is I know that during the 1994 devotional tour, sort of because obviously it went on for, I think it almost went for nearly 2 years or 18 months. And I know on the second half of the last leg, because of all the drugs and alcohol and partying and whatnot, debauchery, Fletch, I think he dropped out of the tour on the last half of the second leg because he was having health problems. And Daryl Beltamone, I don't know what his role in the band was. I think he was kind of like behind the scenes member. I don't know if he was involved with productions or you know, sort of more of the live aspects. Maybe you can clarify that. But he was drafted in, and they said, okay, Fletch is ill, you're playing keyboards. And I think on a documentary I saw how he was in a hotel room with Alan Wilder for a couple of weeks, learning how to play the keyboard. So, and then I'm part of me, my bitchy side is thinking, oh well, how hard can it be to learn Fletcher's parts, you know? But then again, coming back to my first video, I did say, although he's playing very simple parts, the parts he plays are quite iconic, and because they're iconic and simple, they're unforgivable in the sense that if you hit a G instead of an F, you've made a mistake, and it'll stick out like a sore thumb. It's interesting also. You guys can check out the video I did last time. Just read the comments below and you'll see. I'm just going to sort of give the gist of some of the comments. One of the comments I saw, someone pointed out that Fletch caused a lot of trouble. Apparently he didn't get on with Dave Gahan. Apparently he didn't get on with Alan Wilder. I don't really know all the in politics. One of the comments are also saying that Fletch caused a lot of trouble for Depeche Mode round about the Violator period. Yeah, if any of you could clarify that. Apparently he made a bad decision within the management of, according to this comment, Fletch made a really bad decision round about the Violator period that was almost detrimental to Depeche Mode's career. Now, I know people say Fletch had, you know, so like an input in the business side of things. Did he really? I mean, was it more just an interest? You must remember that by early 90s when Violator came out, Depeche Mode were big money. And I really think they would have had, you know, like, I think they would have had real sort of like proper financial guidance and management guidance at that stage. I mean, Fletch was still quite young, so would they not give that responsibility to someone more responsible? So when they say Fletch was the manager, I think Fletch maybe had more of an interest in the management, just as Wilder had a influence in the production. But I don't think Fletch was ever like the manager. So if any of you guys have any sort of like information on that you could clarify, I'd be grateful. I know Jonathan Kessler is he their live? Is he like their stage like their live tour manager? And I think Daniel Miller was obviously their manager in the early days, although they was, you know, when they were on mute. So I'm not really au fait on what the arrangement was, and you know who actually managed their finances and stuff like that. Yeah, was it Fletch? I'm not sure. I'm asking the question, so yeah, please let us know. Right, guys. So as I say, this was just a response video. Not really structured. It was just you know, responses and you know, just gauging some of the feedback. And as I say, I'm so grateful to you for the feedback, guys. So if you want to leave more comments and let me know what other subjects you'd like me to talk about. I think in this video, as I say, in this series, I mean, there's a lot I can talk about, but I do want to sort of focus in on the sort of like the pioneers of electronic music, you know, like Depeche Mode and Gary Newman, Kraftwerk, even early Human League, OMD, sort of people that sort of, you know, influenced the sound of electronic music. And as Moby once said, I remember Moby once saying it's very hard to be an electronic music fan and not be a fan of Gary Newman. So there are many subjects to talk about. So as I say, I am doing the research and putting the pieces to play to start the Depeche Mode series, where I'm going to be talking about all the and I'm going to be giving an in-depth review on all the Depeche Mode albums from Speak and Spell all the way up to Spirit. So these will be in-depth reviews where I discuss all the songs, my favourite songs, my least favourite songs. Also discuss some of the synthesizers used and any general history that was relevant to the making of the particular album that I'm discussing at the time. And as I say, I'm looking very forward to, once we build the momentum on this, is to bring Brian Griffin in, who was the legendary photographer who photographed who did all their album covers all the way from Speak and Spell right the way to Black Celebration. So I'm very excited to have Brian on the channel here to discuss his time with Depeche Mode. So guys, thank you so much. As I say, please subscribe, share this with anyone you would think would be interested in it, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear, me discuss. And yeah, let's keep it going. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you on the next video.